Welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Diane, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder. And today's episode is brought to you by Sarah's Chill, a company that never stops making the lives of breastfeeding parents easier. Tons of expensive landfill plastic and short-term products are so yesterday. But you will hear more from our sponsor later. For now, you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check out our sponsor page if you ever need anything. And if you need something, check there, see if you can give them any of your business because they make this podcast possible. And while you're there, you can scroll down and you can enter your email address and we'll send episodes straight to your inbox every week. And we're on Patreon. So we would really like you to join. You can check the link under the show notes, wherever you're listening from. It's the very top link. See if any of those tiers look good to you. And we would like to see you there. We do have a growing community there, and it's a nice place to be able to more closely interact with each other. And we're still hosting our ongoing giveaway, so you can leave reviews or stars or I don't know, whatever your app allows you to do. Mm-hmm. You can do that. Take a screenshot, send it to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com along with your address, and we'll send you a goodie bag of nursing in public cards and stickers and all kinds of fun stuff. And I think that's all. And Diane has our review of the week or a question of the week.
Instead of a review, I'm going to do a question today because this question came in. And I feel bad because it's probably by the time she hears it, she might be over her problem. But says, my son is 6 months old and nursing to sleep has become a challenge at nap time and bedtime. He will latch and unlatch every few seconds and fuss. Is this a nursing strike? Is there a problem with my milk supply? Help. I can tell you for sure there's no problem with your milk supply. Babies just do this sometimes. I would say probably not a nursing strike. He's at an age for a nursing strike, but probably not a nursing strike if he's nursing fine the rest of the time. Then it's probably not a nursing strike. I would go for that he's just distracted. That would be my guess, is that he's distracted. Something's distracting him. I would say make sure that when it's bedtime or nap time that you've got him in a quiet room. It's dark. Maybe a sound machine might be on, very, very quiet, low stimulation, and see if you can get him to nurse that way. Any suggestions from you?
Yes. So sometimes babies, when they get like overtired, they have a hard time falling asleep. Or not just babies. I just went through this with my 13-year-old just last night. We're all it's very difficult to go to sleep once you are like past that point, when you're tired, when you're just overtired. Maybe, it could be something like that. It could be that, maybe try quieting things down like 20 minutes before you have been, and kind of just doing what Diane said, going into a quiet area, keeping it very low lit room. Maybe do something, and this is like, we're going to talk about sleep today, and we're going to talk about Rebecca Meeke a little bit too, because I worked with her. And one of the things that I always really liked about working with her and her suggestions is just creating routines and creating something to, I'll just explain it because I can't explain it. I'm sorry. I was up really late with my 13-year-old who couldn't sleep. Try doing something that you do every single time before you go to sleep, like taking a stroll up and down the hallway or looking at a book and just doing, even if it's a 6-month-old baby, so they're not going to like read or something, but you can just pick it up and show them a picture, show them a family picture, just do something that you're going to do just for like a minute or two that you do every single time before the baby goes to sleep. So they start to really kind of expect that. And they have like a physiological reaction to this time leading up to sleep. Because it could just be that they're going through some developmental thing that's, making them a little restless. And so they might need just a little bit of extra time to go into that sleep zone.
Help.
Yeah. So I don't know. Try that.
Yeah, try those things. That's a great suggestion. And see if that helps you. Hopefully this will be resolved by the time this episode comes out. Usually, Abby and I are not so on the stick and have several episodes ahead of time, but we are right now. So we're several episodes ahead of when they go out. Usually we're only recording like a week before, and then questions get answered a little bit sooner. But right now we're a couple weeks ahead of ourselves. So it's going to be a couple weeks before you hear this, but hopefully that's a little bit helpful, or hopefully that helps somebody else if you're having the same issue.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that this is not the only baby that's doing this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. There's other babies. But today we are going to talk about sleep in the fourth trimester. But what is the fourth trimester, you might ask? What are the timelines of the fourth trimester? Fourth trimester is that first 3 months after the baby is born. That is your fourth trimester, where everybody is just kind of getting acclimated to each other.
Yeah. And I feel like everything that I said and everything that I just said to this listener, none of that applies to the to that fourth trimester. You know, there's no sleep training tips. There's no intervention. There's no nothing like that. Like, you are literally just you're acting like this baby is still inside of you, because, right? I mean, we are, as we've talked about this before, but evolutionarily speaking, we are giving birth to like the most immature babies, because as humans have become more upright, we've given birth earlier because the babies, it's the smaller, it's a smaller birth canal as you stand upright. So the babies, humans used to be pregnant longer. And now we're giving birth, we came upright, smaller birth canal, babies are coming out smaller and younger. So it really is a time to just kind of act like they're still inside of you by holding them a lot and, all of the things that we'll talk about today. But, any kind of intervention or anything like that, just leave that. This is not the time for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And that can be really frustrating. And the information today that I have for you, I got from a really great book. It's called The Core Curriculum for Lactation Consultant Practice. And it's got some really, really great evidence-based information, and got a lot of info out of that for your episode today. But one of the things they did say was that when it comes to sleep for newborns, parents are usually very, I don't want to say the word surprised because that's not really the right word, but they are not expecting it to be the way it really is. And a lot of parents think that there's something wrong, or they're doing something wrong, or their baby should be doing something more than they are doing. And that's not the case. I think we all we expect them to sleep more than they do.
I mean, that's what you see on TV.
That's what you see on TV. And everybody knows somebody that said, oh, my baby slept 8 hours when I brought him home from the hospital.
Yeah.
That's neither expected nor should be happening.
No,
that should not be happening. Mm-mm.
People just don't remember. I swear people don't remember.
Yeah, I think that too.
They just push because it's traumatic having a baby. Like it shakes your world so intensely, and we're not prepared for it. We've talked about this before too. We don't understand anything about babies. Babies have been kind of kept, they're supposed to be kind of kept quiet and, at home, and we don't see them. We don't really understand them. And then we have all these expectations of what we're supposed to be doing, like getting up and going to work and keeping the house clean and taking care of everybody else. And so when we have a baby and it requires something completely different from us, it's absolute chaos. And I swear, you get a little bit past it and you're just like, oh, yeah, no, they slept. Yeah, no, that was okay. That was great. No. I mean, like when I actually like think about this and start thinking about like after having my first, it's it's like triggering to remember. So yeah, we push that down.
Oh yeah, for sure. But the truth of it is that newborns will sleep an average of 16 to 17 hours in a 24-hour period.
But not all at once.
No, not all at once. In the first few days, newborns will wake with each cycle. So every 1 to 3 hours, newborns are waking up. And this is what
if you have a newborn that slept 3 hours, I'd be surprised.
Yeah. Within a week or two, many newborns will link sleep cycles and wake every 2 to 3 hours. So that is what we're more used to, the every 2 to 3 hours. And that even surprises a lot of parents. Parents are like, why are they not sleeping? Mm-hmm. Why is he not sleeping? Nighttime is terrible. Why are they not sleeping? And they start to really be concerned, and they're not going to have any brain growth and all of this stuff. And none of that is going to happen. Everything is going to be fine. Your baby's doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They are not mature enough to link sleep cycles. We are expecting our babies to come out mature enough to link their sleep cycles, and that is just not happening. It's just not in the cards for any of us. As much as we want them to do that, they can't do that early in the game. So infant sleep cycles, so the way it goes is adult sleep cycles are 90 to 110 minutes long, and we can link our cycles, right? We're adults. Infant sleep cycles are about 60 minutes long. So for infants, it's different than it is for adults, and infants can't link theirs.
Yeah. And working with Rebecca, she would say that the sleep cycle was like 45 minutes.
Mm.
So that's even less, that's even less. What you would expect under an hour of sleep for your baby. And speaking of adults linking sleep cycles, not always. I mean, who's not up always. In the middle of the night?
Yeah.
I've never gone an entire night without at one point waking up and looking at the clock.
Right.
I mean, that's just like a normal thing for me. I mean, maybe not everybody does that, but I've done that my whole life. Look over and be like, okay, that's what time it is. All right, go back to sleep.
Right. Or you just roll over, wakes you up, whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's just something wakes you up.
Yeah, that's a sleep cycle that you're coming out of.
It's normal. Yeah. I think it's really normal.
And we just end up not needing help to go back to sleep.
Right. That's the thing. We don't, we don't need that help to go back to sleep, but babies do. Newborn sleep stages are described as active, indeterminate, or non-active. So your active sleep cycle for newborns is also called light sleep. So their active sleep is their light sleep cycle. Their non-active sleep is also called quiet sleep or deep sleep. So when they're in their active sleep cycle, that's their light sleep cycle. And when they're in their non-active sleep cycle, that's their deep sleep. So quiet sleep also plays a role in memory development. So their deep sleep is where they're creating their memory too. They're getting their memory development out of that, which I just put in there because I thought it was interesting. I was like, that's kind of cool. All right. By week 2, so now we're only in week 2, right? Infants spend approximately 61% of time in active sleep. Remember, now that is their light sleep cycle. By week 5, active sleep has dropped to 57%. So in their newborn stages, they're doing more of the light sleep in that time, during that time frame too.
Yes, and that is why they wake easier and more frequently, and why because they're not developmentally able to go into those deeper sleeps. It's not safe for their brain. They have a harder time coming out of that, which is why all these things to try to get them to sleep deeper, like overfeeding them or putting things in their bottle. That's why these things are SIDS risks.
Yeah. And they don't even work. So it doesn't matter. Well, they even had a whole section in this book about like how you shouldn't be putting like cereal in their bottle or giving them cereal or giving them food because it doesn't work into lengthening their sleep.
Yeah. Doesn't
so
work.
Don't do stuff like that.
Scary.
Yeah. Exactly. Newborns will enter active sleep, which includes dreaming and REM, and after 35 minutes transition to a non-active sleep. Newborns who are sensitive to position change may awake while still in the active sleep. So that's where you get that situation where you're holding your baby and they're sleeping and you put them down and they wake up.
Mm-hmm.
You hear that all the time from families. It's like, as soon as I put him down, he wakes up. And part of that is you're not holding them anymore. They're not,
that's the
they don't
part.
feel that connectedness. Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
They're wired. We are wired to our early ancestors to know that that's not safe.
Right.
To be close to each other was to be safe from predators and such. And the baby knows when they're not near a human.
And it's scary for them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They're not going to sleep. They're like, danger, danger, something's wrong.
Right. Exactly. And it's very hard. I have a client I was talking to her this week when I saw her, and she had been reading a sleep book, like a breastfeeding sleep book. And it was almost to the other end of realistic, where and this is a parent who also has a toddler. So she's got a 2-year-old and she's got a newborn. And this book is saying things like you should never put your baby down anywhere. You should keep your baby with you for the first 6 months of life. Baby should be strapped to you, like all of that stuff. She goes, what do you do when you have a toddler? Like, how are you supposed to do that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not realistic. It might be great to be able to do those things. And yes, that might be the best thing for the baby. But realistically,
no. Yeah. We don't live in a culture or a society where any of that is possible.
Right. Exactly. And what
plus,
about when you go back to work?
You have to go to the bathroom. You have to take a shower,
Right.
And, that's just not, that's not fair.
It's not.
Like, we want to talk about what's normal. We want to talk about, like, babies. Sure, they're wired to sense danger if they're not near a human. But also, you can take a shower.
You know that they're safe.
You know that they're safe.
We know they're safe.
We're talking about how your baby's going to have a difficult time sleeping if they're in a different room from you. If you need to take a shower and you put them in the bassinet or whatever and they're fussing, it's okay. That's fine. They're going to be fine.
Right.
It's not just, you're not setting up this like habit, this routine where they're just sleeping by themselves. That's different. They're not going to sleep very well.
They won't. No. They will not sleep very well.
No.
We should probably take a break before we go on.
Let's do it. All right. We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Sarah's Chill, a company that never stops making the lives of breastfeeding parents easier. Tons of expensive landfill plastic and short-term products are so yesterday. Created by a mom for moms, Sarah's Chill knows how important every ounce of breast milk is. Their epic freezer storage system called the Milk Stash is the solution to all freezer stash problems. No more leaking bags, wasted milk, or crammed, disorganized freezer spaces. The Milk Stash freezes milk in perfectly portioned 1/2 ounce cubes, so you can easily defrost the exact amount of milk you need for a bottle without wasting an entire bag. It's space-saving, easy to clean, and great for teething nets. The Milk Stash is FSA, HSA reimbursable and lasts a lifetime, and you can use it for frozen baby food purees, fruit-infused cubes, or Jell-O shots for the block party after your journey is over. This is truly breast milk storage reimagined. Live it up.
Live it up.
We love Forever products. Head over to Sarah's Chill or check them out on Instagram for more details. Use the code BADASS for 15% off. That's sarahschill.com, CERESCHILL.com. Code BADASS, 15% off. And all of our sponsors and the promo codes can be found in the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from. And also over at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, where you will also find all of our other episodes and information about scheduling your very own one-on-one online lactation consultation with Dianne.
Absolutely. So between the ages of 3 and 5 months, infants begin to sleep in quiet, which is non-active or deep sleep, as adults do. and night waking decreases. So, as I said in the beginning of this episode, the fourth trimester is till about 3 months. So once you're kind of coming out of that fourth trimester, your baby might be starting to sleep a little bit longer stretches for you at night. And when I say long stretches, it doesn't mean like 8 hours. It means maybe 4 or 5 hours. By 2 to 6 weeks of age, most infants will sleep 2 to 4 hours at a time. So when your baby is about 6 weeks, anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks, you might see a little bit longer stretches starting. At approximately 6 to 8 weeks of age, infant sleep becomes more concentrated during the night because they are more awake during the daytime. So a lot of this time too, like your babies don't give you a lot of awake time. I mean, when we were first saying here in the beginning, newborns sleep an average of 16 to 17 hours in 24 hours. They're not giving you a lot of awake time. And the time that they are awake, they're usually eating, you're changing a diaper, you're giving a bath, you're doing some tummy time. They're not like,
the turnaround
sitting
time
there
is
wide-eyed
short.
and like hanging out with you and, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You're just not getting a lot of awake time. It's very short increments of awake time. But by 6 to 8 weeks of age, they're obviously more awake during the daytime. You're interacting with them more. They're sleeping a little bit better for you at nighttime.
So a question that I think inevitably comes up during this conversation is, as babies start to sleep longer stretches and we want to be feeding on demand and feeding frequently, at what point do we want to wake them to feed, and at what point do we not need to wake them anymore to feed?
So I usually tell parents, and this kind of comes from when I was working in a pediatric office, and I do hear this from a lot of clients from different, that go to obviously different pediatric offices all over my town, that they're fine with the baby doing about a 3-hour stretch as a newborn, if they will do that. And then they want them to be wakened for a feeding. I usually tell parents that once the baby is back to birth weight, let the baby wake you up overnight. You don't have to set an alarm anymore to get up and wake the baby, but that's usually going to be about 3 hours anyway. They're probably not going to go longer than that. So that is usually by week 2. They're usually back to their birth weight by, 10 days to 2 weeks. So week 2, many newborns will link sleep cycles and wake every 2 to 3 hours. So we've got those babies that are waking probably about every 3 hours.
But you will have the odd newborn or the odd situation where your baby is you have a new baby and they're still sleeping and it's been 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to give them a jiggle.
Yeah, probably. Because the other thing with it too, that I always remind parents, especially new parents with their first time baby, you're going to start feeling full.
Yeah.
And uncomfortable because your body is like, all right, it's been a couple hours. Where's our baby?
Yeah.
And you're going to wake up. So a lot of times you wake up because you're feeling more full and you're like, all right, I need this baby to get up and eat.
Right.
Because you're getting full and uncomfortable. So it kind of, you're working it together as a team.
Mm-hmm. And then at some point, at what point do we not need to worry anymore about waking them up at all, no matter how long they're sleeping?
I mean, that really depends on how the baby's doing with feeds, I think. Like if everything is going good and they're doing really well, say you don't have to wake them up anymore after probably 3 or 4 weeks. They're just kind of, you're just like going along and just following their cues.
Yeah.
Because we do want to just follow their cues. We want to just feed them on demand. That's how we want it to get to be, just around the clock, instead of setting alarms and kind of making sure that we're,
But newborns don't know what they're doing. They don't. They don't know anything, and following the cues of a brand new baby is sometimes confusing because they barely even have cues yet. They just got here. They have absolutely nothing to go on,
Yeah.
So they need a lot of help there in the beginning.
They do need a lot of help. But kind of keep in mind, like, I had one family one time that was like, when can I stop? And the baby was like 3 or 4 months old. And they were like,
yeah.
what happens with the overnight? And I'm like, well, it's going to be a while before your baby sleeps. They're like, no, when can we stop waking them over? I'm like, you can stop waking them a long time ago. Like that was
long time ago.
Like,
Don't do it.
We
Yeah.
thought we still had to wake them up during the night.
Yeah.
So what starts to happen if you have a baby that's sleeping a little bit better for you, starting to sleep a little bit better, and you're still trying to wake them every 3 hours during the nighttime, they're not going to feed well because they're not in a good state for feeding.
Yeah.
They're sleeping.
Yeah. They're
so
trying
now
to
you're
be
waking
asleep,
a baby that is sound asleep and trying to get them to eat, and they're not having any part of it because they're not interested in eating yet.
Yeah.
And as we've mentioned before on this podcast, it's really hard to force a baby to eat when they don't want to. And that's what you start to run into.
Yeah.
So circadian rhythms begin to appear at like the 6 to 8 weeks of age. So they're not born with circadian rhythms. They're not born with that. That's something that has to happen as they're going along. And breastfeeding helps with creating those circadian rhythms because they get melatonin with breast milk and helps them to kind of set their sleep cycles and get everything acclimated. But that circadian rhythm, they're not born with it. It takes a little bit of time for that to start happening, for them to start following any kind of circadian rhythm with dark and light. By 3 months of age, sleep-wake periods and their circadian rhythms begin to follow the light-dark cycle. So again, by the time you're coming out of this 4th trimester, your baby has got some circadian rhythms. They're starting to follow the light-dark cycle, which means that you can start following that light-dark cycle too. Active and quiet sleep are important for infant development. So we want to make sure that we want them in those sleep cycles. Infants are easily awakened during active sleep periods. The ability to awaken easily when needed is considered important for baby's health and safety. And that's what Abby was just talking about. That it is important for them to be able to awaken. We don't want them in those huge, deep sleep cycles for long periods of time because that's not safe for them. We want them to be able to wake up. Babies can have those little periods of apnea. And then they wake themselves up. We want them to be able to wake themselves up if they're in deep sleep cycles for long times. That's harder for them.
Yeah. Yep.
What else we got? What else did Rebecca say?
Well, so, Rebecca has an article here, about newborn sleep. And she tends to not work with a lot of newborns because, when in her work, her opinion is in that 4th trimester, you're not sleep training your baby. And sleep training to Rebecca is, she has these gentle methods, the Miki method and all that. And she says, this is not, we're going to wait for that first few months to pass where you're just focusing on getting as much sleep as you can, figuring out breastfeeding, holding your baby as much as possible, keeping them safe, keeping them close and all of this. But she says there are some things that you can do during that time. And she says, you definitely want to keep your baby. Well, everybody says this, even though the doctor's office might not tell you this, but your baby should be sleeping in the room with you. If you're not comfortable with bed sharing, that's fine. But your baby needs to be in the same room as you. This can reduce, this is linked to like a 50% decrease in SIDS risk. So your baby should be in the room with you. And just a note too, if your baby falls asleep in the car seat, it's very tempting to just take the car seat in the house and just leave them sleeping in the car seat. This is also not recommended. It's take them out. They're safer sleeping in wherever you have them sleeping, like on a mattress or with you or something like that. And she says that it can take about 20 minutes for a baby to be kind of all the way asleep. I don't know if you said that.
No, I didn't.
If you were talking
What did
about
I
how
say?
long it takes for a baby to go to kind of get all the way asleep into those deeper levels of sleep.
This is after 35 minutes. Newborns enter active sleep, which includes dreaming and REM, and after 35 minutes transition to non-active sleep. So they're saying like 35 minutes. Rebecca's saying about 20.
Okay. She says it takes about 20 minutes for an infant to fall into a deep sleep. So if you rush off, as you're trying to put them down for a nap or something, and you might want to wait there. If you want to put them down, you can wait there, keep your hands on them, keep close so they can still smell you and feel you. If you kind of run away, they're going to wake up. I mean, with Jack, if I put him down, he would wake up. Well, we were talking about this. And a lot of things, I know Rebecca's big thing is temperament. So we have all of these things that we're talking about that are normal and all of that. But this really comes down to, it's going to come down at the end of the day, the temperament of your baby.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on who. Some babies are going to sleep okay. Exley, I could put Exley down in a bassinet next to the couch and have him sleep there for a little while. Jack, absolutely not. There was no way he was going to do that. He had to be on me in order for him to sleep. So it just depends on who they are, what their personality is going to be, and that is not something that you can change. You can't change your baby's personality. That's not a thing. But more concrete here. So, and I know that she's talked about this a lot. Best sleeping environment is 65 to 70 degrees, which sounds cold to some people. But this is the best environment for your baby, for them to not get too hot or get too cold. And she says the best way to feel if a baby is hot or cold is to feel their chest. Because a lot of times we'll feel their hands and their fingers, but like they're cold because
they're their extremities.
Circulation is not great, with them. She suggests swaddling. I know that some people suggest not swaddling. So that's really kind of where you're going to land on that, how you feel that works for you. I would say don't swaddle when you're nursing.
Right.
Because they need their hands for that practice.
It's really hard, the swaddling thing, because people are saying now too, don't swaddle, but babies have that moral reflex where it wakes them up, or their startle reflex, which wakes them up.
Yes.
And if they're not swaddled, their hands and stuff are just gonna wake them.
They're just flying all over the
startle
place.
Reflex. Yeah, they're just flailing. So it helps them to be swaddled because they're not doing that. But now people are saying to don't swaddle. So it really, like Abby said, it's just what you prefer.
You can, I mean, you can try it. See, and try. So the thing with swaddling is that I don't care what anybody says. We're not causing long-term damage. Some people are saying that this is not good. And this is a preference thing. This is what is going to work, however your baby sleeps. If your baby sleeps better when they're swaddled, then swaddle your baby.
Great.
Okay. Just fine. It's fine. If it doesn't seem to make a difference and you don't want to, and you don't believe that it's good, then don't. I know with Jack, I was nursing him swaddled, and I wouldn't do that anymore. If I had known better, I would have unswaddled him while he was nursing. But I didn't know what I was doing. So she also suggests, if you're trying to get your baby to sleep somewhere, maybe so you can jump in the shower, so you can, get something done, you can take a little, a blanket, maybe the blanket that you'll swaddle them in, or a little crib sheet, or a bassinet blanket, or whatever, and put it in your shirt for a while. And then when you lay them down, it kind of smells like you. I thought that was an interesting tip. And she suggests never worrying about nursing your baby to sleep, or not to worry about nursing your baby to sleep while they're a newborn. I say don't worry about nursing your baby to sleep ever.
That's That's my stance on it too.
Yeah. So, some people just feel like it's, these are just difference of opinions here again. And I think that's all in this article.
It's really important during this third trimester or this fourth trimester, when your baby is a newborn, it's really important to remember that this is normal and their sleep habits are normal, and try not to manipulate that. We don't want to be doing things to try to get our babies to sleep longer periods of time during this time when they're not developmentally ready.
Right. Yeah.
They will sleep when they're developmentally ready. And when they are newborns, they are not ready yet for that. And what they are doing is absolutely normal and developmentally normal for their age when they are only sleeping an hour or two at a time. It's not good for us to be waking up every hour because we need sleep, but this is just how it is. This is how babies are. There's not a lot.
Yeah.
There's not a lot you can do.
And we are fully aware that it is in direct conflict with what you need to do in your life.
Oh, yeah.
It is absolutely not convenient for babies to be acting like this.
They're so selfish.
Yeah. I mean, they're just acting like our schedule doesn't matter. And it's, it's problematic. Like it really is.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that a lot of people just don't have the ability to cater to the baby's needs, which is why sleep training and stuff like this becomes so popular.
Yeah.
Because people selling this stuff as like your baby's going to sleep longer, and they're selling you a product. The reality is that you're going to be tired.
Right.
Because you can't get your baby to sleep for a really long period of time, and you're going to be tired, and it's going to suck, and then someday soon it will end. The end.
Yeah. The end. The end.
Well, thank you for listening. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Listening.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.